Crusader Kings 3, the Royal Court, now has its own dev diary, 61. What is it about? It's about the throne room. It's about a lot of grandeur, grandeur effects, how grandeur is gained, grandeur expectations, and finally court events. So it's the life of the court and how you can get more life through grandeur. And how the court looks. So this is an early work in progress screenshot of the throne room. It's a very early version. But you can see there's a lot of room for your artifacts, for your people that are standing around, for maybe some lavish buffets, maybe some feasts, maybe some fights, maybe some parts of a duel, maybe room for a poet, maybe a comfy chair next to the fire. All kinds of things like that, with all kinds of smaller titles. This isn't just a graphical feature. They admit the importance of immersion. They don't want any features to feel tacked on or superfluous. Throne Room is there to show what's happening, what artifacts you've collected, which courtiers are having a fight, etc. This allows us to place a character in a scene together with others, showing that we're actually present in the same world. Trying to bridge the gap between our character and the map, all while representing a side of medieval history we've never previously explored in detail, they say. The importance for a ruler to show their power, their grandeur to their subjects and peers. Yeah, you got to boast to be someone, basically. If you're a very humble king, no one will notice you're a king. You have to show that you're a king. And this is the key concept of grandeur. A measurement of your standing in the eyes of your peers. While it's measured on a scale from 0 to 100, it's not necessarily a simple system. Increasing will lead to direct political benefits. For example, increased opinions, marriage acceptance, will also unlock new council jobs. For example, being able to peacefully demand the jury land with a convince the jury territory job, or gain knight effectiveness while also decreasing enemy scheme success chance with a manage royal guards job. So you gain all kinds of advantages for it. These effects motivate you to aim for a high level of grandeur, but naturally that comes at a pecuniary monetary cost. How much are you willing to spend on the artifacts, amenities, or on the positions within your court? And the bigger your empire, the more you have to spend to gain that level of grandeur that is necessary. So you could have a nice, simple, or a small but exquisite court, or you could have a very big but lousy court. These things are definitely possible. And you will see which courts attract more. There's many examples of historical courts that were quite small, but that still attracted all kinds of artists, of fascinating people. And this is also what grandeur is about, to get the right people to your court. You have to balance your political needs with your temporal ones. How much are you willing to spend? Sacrificing your grandeur entirely will, though, cause instabilities both internal and external, because you don't have the standing to be of your rank. Grandeur is not really a resource. It's not actively spent, unlike something like prestige. It works on a much slower time scale. It's something you must balance and work towards increasing over a longer period of time. Similar to culture, if I understood that right, which we had in the vision for the royal court. So it's a similar system to that. A slow-moving thing, but of course not as slow as culture, because it will be heavily bound to the person of the king. Though there are, of course, choices in events that make grandeur increase or decrease with various trade-offs. What effects will grandeur have? Grandeur has several different effects and modifiers, divided into 10 separate levels with their own effects. that will be unlocked, for example. For example, the very first level of Grandeur unlocks the ability to hold court, a crucial component in achieving higher Grandeur levels. Holding court is inviting all your vassals and all the people that belong to the court. And if they have some quarrels, some things just to talk to you about, they will say that, and you will have little events to solve these puzzles, to make these decisions in favor of whomever you like. The second level unlocks a council task called Bestow Royal Favor, which is a powerful single target task that increases a vassal's opinion of you while granting them and you also prestige. It's something prestigious to do. It's only positive. One of the most significant effects of Grandeur is its effect on attraction of inspired characters. The higher your Grandeur is compared to that of your neighbors, the likelier you are to have these creative travelers visit your court first, giving you an opportunity for patronage. Inspirations will come in a future dev diary. We've heard of these already. They can change the course of your game. They can give you bonuses. Some of these levels will give courtiers who stay within it a flavorful trait which will increase their skills and attributes based on the type of court they are staying at. A particularly grand court might even see a more powerful trait appear, making such characters excellent for various jobs and court positions. For example, if you're in some kind of a battle court where you have duels, I think it's imaginable you might have very great knights there. But I think the main thing is diplomacy and maybe learning. And that would be inspired by great artists. Several Grandeur levels have effects and modifiers based on the court type, a type of flavorful perk for your court. Depending on your cultural ethos, you'll get access to a few different types, such as a diplomatic or a warlike court, or maybe a court of culture or learning. All royal courts have a type, and among other things, it affects the type of trait that courtiers get. See various paragraphs. For example, Viking courts would typically be either warlike or very artistic for like poets or something. While in other cultures, you would have totally different courts. Maybe really economic courts. Maybe diplomatic courts. Like if you're in Central Europe, you will certainly profit from a diplomatic court because you have so many neighbors, it's crazy. The bonuses granted from these types are varied and aim to enhance a certain style of play. The AI will tend to go for the court type most reflective of their cultural ethos and situation. For example, the Indian kings will often tend to want a scholarly court, since many Indian cultures have a spiritual ethos. So that's scholarly court is going for religion and learning. As an example, having a diplomatic court type will grant you bonuses to vassalization acceptance, tyranny gain, opinion, and potentially even unlock a personal scheme slot. A warlike court type might instead see bonuses to counter efficiency, knight efficiency, and the maximum size of man-at-arms regiments, as not all cultures can access all court types. This is another reason to pursue hybridization or divergence. So if you want to diversify your tactics, your strategy, if you want to stay flexible, you can hybridize them. The hybridization of culture has already been mentioned in the vision for the royal court. This is the hybridization of a court that would fit maybe if you're hybridizing your cultures, if you have two different cultures basically trying to span over that, then you also want your court to be as flexible as that. Something different, something similar to what the AI will try, and which will often be probably profitable. How is the Grandeur gained? It's divided into baseline and direct gain. The baseline decides the trend, with you passively and slowly either gaining or losing Grandeur over time until the baseline is met. The baseline is affected by many things: what court artifacts you have, what court positions you have filled, etc. More on the court artifacts in another dev diary, like the inspirations. I think it works similar to Crusader Kings 2, but they've already said they want to go beyond what artifacts did in Crusader Kings 2. There will be quests and things connected to that, bonuses, all kinds of things, and they will also decrease in their effects over time. The rate of grandeur change can be modified by many things, such as cultural ethoses or traditions, but it is, as a rule of thumb, rather slow. It takes time for word of your glory to spread. After all, the most simple way to increase your grandeur baseline is by investing in amenities. Amenities are simple, straightforward, central to the concept of having a grand court. For example, lodgings, food, clothing, servants. 4 levels to each progressive level costing more gold to maintain, giving more grandeur baseline. So that's the first thing you build. You probably have nice beds, nice food, and a little bit nice clothes, servants. Clothing, probably your cultural clothing will come in there as very important and very rich to look at when they're actually be seen in the court. They all come with a selection of flavor effects. Spending on food will slightly increase the disease resistance of your courtiers, but higher levels might also cause them to gain weight. Spending on clothes will increase their prestige, will even cause them to wear fancier clothes at higher levels of expenditure. Commoners will wear low nobility clothes, and so on. If your court is lacking in artifacts, spending on amenities is the way to go. Worth noting is that the cost of amenities is relative to your size and income. And not your personal size, of course, the size of your realm. A small realm won't have to pay as much as a prosperous one. The intent here is to allow smaller kingdoms and empires to punch above their weight diplomatically, as was also seen in history. There was these small, exquisite courts, especially in some German countries, that had really great artists, that had a renown for great culture in there. And these were just like relatively small realms, but just doing the things precisely, exactly, very nice, like the jewels of the land. And comparably, you could have a very big court that was only managed very with a lot of negligence or something like that, making choosing between expansion and consolidation a more relevant matter. Because you need the grandeur to keep the realm together also. Reaching the baseline might take a long time unless you decide to take action in order to speed it up. To gain it fast, you need to hold court. Performing this decision invites your vassals, subjects, to bring their issues, requests, and questions before you. The mere act of holding court will give you a one-time boost to your grandeur, but the opportunities within the activity itself might give you opportunities to increase it further. Or you could decide to lose grandeur for some temporal gain that is just too good to pass up. The issues brought forth when holding court are many and varied, with many of them reacting to the state of your realm. More on hold court is coming in a later dev diary. You see that this dev diary sets the baseline. It's showing the whole concept of the royal court and what will be expanded in from this skeleton that we get at the moment. The skeleton will be fleshed out later. Grandeur Expectations. Now, grandeur isn't only about reaching the level that gives you the effect you desire, it's also about managing the expectations people have. Depending on a number of factors, such as tier or size of realm, you will have a certain expectations put upon your royal court. It's a double-edged sword. If the grandeur is below expectations, you'll suffer increasing diplomatic penalties as people lose respect. While if it's exceeded, you might see powerful diplomatic bonuses. I think it works probably similar to having too many counties for your rank, something like that, where you get negatives all the way. And these are scaled based on how powerful you are. A rather small kingdom that undershoots its expectations won't be hit particularly hard, while a massive empire, such as the Holy Roman Empire or Byzantium, will be punished much harder if they fail to live up to the expectations put upon them. And historically, this was often a thing, especially in the later medieval ages, where big realms had to definitely overspend to the point where they were a lot in debt to a lot of people, just to get the right Grandeur to keep their status. The effects of not living up to your expectations are many: reduced prestige, renown, and a hefty hit to opinion with foreign rulers, courtiers, and vassals. A large realm might easily find itself facing significant unrest unless its ruler starts spending on grandeur. On the other hand, a small kingdom that vastly exceeds the expectations put upon it might see significant bonuses to its diplomatic power, as well as renown and other bonuses. Finally, you will have court events. The royal court isn't all about grandeur. Another important role it holds is to show that there's life in the court, done through court events, happenings contained within the court taking place between those who live therein. It uses the throne room as its backdrop, these events transforming the entire throne room into an event when they will happen. Unlike normal events, this type of event is non-interruptive. You get notified that something is happening, whereby you can go into your royal court and inspect the scene, find out whoever's involved, trigger the event yourself maybe, and usually these events are some sort of drama happening between your courtiers, which you can choose to simply ignore if you feel like you have more important matters to attend to. These events come in different flavors, mostly focusing on how it is to live in the court. So that's a nice example of immersion, but it's also something helping with the game. Like if you want to remember your enemies or who is an enemy to whom, you will definitely remember that a lot better if you see these people acting it out. So it's not only the immersion, but it's also a gameplay help to more immersion that will help your gameplay, because you can definitely remember it better when it's fleshed out. Some examples of court events that are being worked on currently include courtiers causing you embarrassment through their drinking or poor manners, getting into arguments with your architect. Others involve things like rumors spreading about your predecessor on the throne, or popular and unflattering songs about you spreading within the court itself, so you know who your enemies are, by face value too. Court events might also be the things like foreign ambassadors trying to uncover your secrets, or devout courtiers shaming you and your court for your frivolous living, and it's definitely worth it to look at them precisely to get them on your black list that will be managed by maybe some intrigue actions. What do you think? I think this is something to look forward to. It sounds like there's now life inside Crusader Kings 3 beyond the map and beyond the lore things. There's also that personality that was so unique to Crusader Kings 2 that is now infused into Crusader Kings 3 as well, which just needed a little bit more variety and something to get it going. And Grandeur is definitely something that is cool to get going, and I'm also looking forward to see how that influences the whole of the game. Will the courts dominate? Or will the courts cause a lot of problems for the bigger realms? Will realms maybe break because of low grandeur? Will they gobble everything up because their grandeur is so big that it shines like a star? And how will these creative people influence everything? We'll see that in a later dev diary, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to the glory that is, like here, the throne room. And it's also, there's also some simple fun in like hanging the pictures, inviting these glorious people in there, and having a lavish buffet in your throne room, right? So, I wish you lavish buffets, and have a great time until next time. And happy gaming. This is Immanuel Can signing out. See you soon, and happy gaming.